Mariner fans, it is Tuesday morning. You're waking up, hopefully listening to this show first thing in the morning, and your Mariners are vying for a division title this week, folks. There's 6 games left to go, and they are in it for the first time in 25 years since 2001 with a chance to close it out, win the division, and clinch the number 2 seed. Are you excited? Do you believe what's going on? Do you believe what just happened? Well, this is the Wing and a Prayer podcast, a show about all things Seattle Mariner baseball. Thank you for following along. Thank you for listening and following this journey as we talk all things Mariner baseball. Now, you can find the podcast pretty much wherever you find your content, including YouTube, Spotify, Amazon Music, Apple Podcasts, and pretty much anywhere else. Thank you again for listening. Download, share, listen with your friends. We got a lot to talk about today. I'm excited to be back talking the Mariners. There's no better thing to be talking about right now, in my opinion, when it comes to sports. On the show today, we are going to cover what's top of mind for me, what we just saw, what it means, what's happening next. We are going to jump into Cal Raleigh. I'm going to make the case for him being the American League MVP. And then we're going to also talk about the keys to success. What's working right now? Offense, pitching, defense, all the things. We're going to have to jump into it. And then I want to give some shout outs to some specific players, achievements, things that have been going on to help the Mariners get to where they are right now. We're also going to talk a little bit about the magic number. What does that mean? Something that might be new to a lot of us. We're not really used to magic numbers and things like that for playoffs. They've made the playoffs one time in the last 25 years. And so things like magic number is a little foreign to us. And then we'll talk about what's next with the Rockies and Dodgers series coming up, kind of tying to that magic number, what it means. And we'll just cover it all. Thank you all for being here today. Let's get into the show. So I said it from the start. You're listening today, Tuesday, thinking to yourself, are we really here? Are we really 3 games up with 6 to go and effectively 4 over the Houston Astros? Now, they went into that series this past weekend, tied with Houston in their ballpark. Now, I'm an optimistic fan, and I really hope they'd win 2 out of 3. I believe they would win 2 out of 3, but if being honest, I didn't expect them to sweep the Houston Astros in their own ballpark. But they went out and showed they are the better team. They have the better roster. They're playing better baseball right now. And they went in and took care of business and dominated. They were only behind for 1 inning during that 3-game series. The starting pitchers gave up 1 run in the 3 games. Now, the bullpen gave up a few runs, which it's going to happen. But they only gave up the starting staff gave up 1 run. And honestly, Brian Wu, if he hadn't had a little bit of pectoral tightness, then I think he would have gone 6 or 7 innings in that game. He ended up only going 5, 1 hit, no runs. And that set the tone for the entire series. And the offense, we'll talk about in key success a little bit more, but the offense is clicking right now. When they made those trades at the trade deadline for Eugenio Suarez and Josh Naylor, we all thought this team could be a really good team, but they are playing right now what we wanted them to be, what we thought they could be. And this offense is clicking. They believe in themselves. Even the guys at the bottom of the roster, like Dom Canzone, we'll talk about him a little bit later. They're killing it. I mean, J.P. Crawford's hitting over 300 in his last 20 games. Dom Canzone's killing it. Victor Robles is back. And I like that they have a consistent, solid lineup. No more just messing around, rotating guys in and out of positions. You got your lineup every day right now, the playoff type lineup. And when the right-hander's pitching, you got Dom Canzone at DH, you got Victor Robles in right, and you got Jorge Polanco at second base. And I love it. And if it's late in the game, we've seen Rivas come in at second base for defensive replacement, which is great. And I just think that's their best lineup right now. When a lefty's pitching, I'm sorry, I don't want to see Garver anymore. Just keep him out. Lefty pitching, I'd rather see Dom Canzone. He's done well against lefties this year. Just keep him in the lineup. Keep that same lineup. Naylor's going to play no matter what as a lefty. Crawford's obviously going to play no matter what, even if it's a lefty. And so, did you go back to that Houston series real quick? You know, we all thought they maybe could win 2 out of 3, but to be tied and just go in and rip their throats out, stab them in the heart, and just ruin their season, essentially. The Astros went from tied for first place to out of a playoff spot by the end of that series. Now, they're tied for the last playoff spot, and they're losing for the tiebreakers. They could still make the playoffs, obviously. You just shredded them. We are so used to, as Mariner fans, being on the losing end of that situation. Mariners just don't go into Houston and sweep them in a situation like that. That just has, in the last, 10 years since the Astros have been going on this run, that just has not happened. The Astros have been the top dog. They've been the one to beat the Mariners. They've just had their number. And this weekend, you saw the tide shift. You saw a team like the Mariners that's been building with their core, and they've added pieces. And look, the Astros have lost pieces. They've lost some of their key players. And they've tried to backfill, and they've still got a lot of talent. But at the end of the day, we saw a better team in the Mariners just whoop up on the Astros in their ballpark. Oh, how sweet it was. I think it was last year, the Houston Astros social media account, the Mariners got swept by Houston, and it was a pivotal series in the same way. And, the Astros social media showed like a broom shoving aside the Mariners, like the believe sign and stuff. And it was so like irritating. And I love the people that are just resharing that and being like, bye, Felicia. It's just awesome. And so just being a diehard Mariner fan, absolutely loved tearing the heart out of the Astros. Just absolutely perfect. Now, if you see, I got my banana hat on today. I was fortunate enough to go to the Savannah Bananas versus the Firefighters this past Saturday at T-Mobile Park. And I'll tell you what, that was a fantastic experience, especially for the family with my kids and my wife. We got to go down. We sat right on the front row in right field. Just a great view, great seats, great experience. Just, they make it all about the fans. It's not traditional baseball. I'm not going to sit here and try to compare it to regular baseball, but they have baseball in the midst of a show and a party. And honestly, the one thing that being live at the games that's kind of stuck out to me is I'm used to music being played at Mariner games and baseball games, but the music's always played between the plays, between the innings. It's never played during the pitch, and they're playing music constantly, even during the pitch. So sometimes when music's being played, I start looking around the ballpark, and then I forget there's a game going on also, and I can't hear the crack of the bat. And so it's just different, baseball purists. It's like, it was such a fun environment. It was that they do such a great job of the singing, the dancing. It's, just a great entertaining experience. Anyway, so I got my Savannah banana hat on, just representing that. All right, so we're going to get in talking about next about Cal and how I'm going to make the case for being the MVP of the American League. Next up, Cal Raleigh is absolutely the American League most valuable player in 2025. The reason why this is even an argument is because Aaron Judge is actually having an all-worldly season himself. Shocker, he's just been tearing up the American League for the last 3 or 4 seasons. Honestly, since he came into the league, he hit over 50 home runs his first year, and even in his down years, he hits 30 home runs and 95 RBIs. He set the American League record, 2 years ago, hitting 62 home runs. He hit 58 home runs last year. He's got 49 this year, and he's hitting 322, leading the American League in hitting. And his offensive numbers in general are better than Cal's. He's got a higher average, higher on-base percentage. His OPS is higher. Cal's beating him in home runs and RBIs. Part of Judge has been a little injured this year. And if you go down the line of offensive metrics by themselves, you could absolutely make the case that Judge is the MVP. But what does MVP stand for, folks? It stands for most valuable player. Is it the best offensive player? No, it's not. They have the award for that. It's called the Hank Aaron Award. But the most valuable player to their team is Cal Raleigh. If he was hit 25 home runs and was hitting 250, we wouldn't even be talking about this. But it's because he's had a prolific offensive season as a catcher. It's been a topic all year long, since the mid part of the year. But we're towards the end of the season, and people are starting to cast their votes. They're starting to make their case. And I tell you that the record for home runs as a catcher was 48 by Salvador Perez, Salvi. Salvi's probably a future Hall of Famer. Great catcher, prolific home run hitter. And did Cal just beat it? No, he's obliterated. He's got 10 more. He has the most home runs by a catcher, playing catcher, in a season. And that means that sometimes Cal plays DH, sometimes he plays catcher. So not all 58 of his home runs are him playing catcher. Some of them were as him as a designated hitter. Javi Lopez had the most home runs, I think it was 42, while playing catcher, and Cal's obliterated that. He has the most home runs by a switch hitter. And that may or may not be a big deal, except for the fact that Mickey Mantle set that record in 1954, and it's Mickey Mantle, Hall of Famer, superstar Yankee, probably one of the 10 greatest players to ever play, and he hit 54 home runs as a switch hitter, and Cal's destroyed that. Next up on the list, Ken Griffey Jr. A team record for home runs, most of the time, not that big a deal. But when you hit 56 and your name's Ken Griffey Jr., and you're also one of the 10 greatest players to play the game, and you're a Hall of Famer, and you're the greatest Mariner to ever play, and you beat that number, that's a big deal. Catcher, no catcher, it doesn't matter. There's a reason why no other players hit 50 home runs for the Mariners. It's not an easy thing to do. It's not something happens regularly, all while doing this as a catcher. Now, is his average fantastic? No, he's hitting just under 250. He started off the year a lot hotter and has, faltered towards the end with average, which is understandable. The dude's back there catching almost every day. He's taking a beating. And the value that he brings to his team isn't just runs scored, it's runs saved too. Think about this guy's a Platinum Glove Award winner. He throws out runners at a high rate. He blocks the ball. He sets up his pitch framing is elite based on advanced sabermetrics. And he's in all these pitchers meetings. He's preparing for games. He's doing the extra work that the position players just don't have to do. They don't have to do the same amount of work. He's also not only in these pitchers meetings and doing all that extra work, getting the game plan together, calling a game, being ultimately prepared for every aspect, pitching and hitting of every game. But he's a switch hitter. He's got to practice both sides of the plate and put all the effort, the same amount of effort the guys do hitting on top of it. So he's got to spend more time. And if he was even a weak defensive catcher, maybe that wouldn't be as much of an argument. But he's a Platinum Glove Award winner that brings extreme value to his team. Not only to mention that, the Mariners are vying for the division. We've talked about this already. They're on the precipice of winning the division for the first time in 25 years. Do you think they would be in this position if Cal Raleigh isn't having the year he's having? I don't think so at all. He's had a significant amount of clutch home runs, and there's nothing to be said other than he is the most valuable player in the American League. And Yankee fans can come at me all day long and they can talk about, well, you can't be the most valuable player if you're not hitting over 300 and Judge just blows them away offensively. That may be so, but Judge is not catching. He's not behind the plate. He's DH'd a lot lately. And it's just, to me, that's the barometer, the difference. There's that catcher value that is so impactful. And there's a reason why no catchers hit 58 home runs. It's darn hard having to do everything else you have to do and put that much time and effort into your offensive game as well. I just think it's a slam dunk. It's a close race. This is no disrespect to Aaron Judge, but I don't think that Judge is going to win this. I think that there's going to be enough writers that understand the value. That New York side of things, though, the New York writers, the New York bias per se, may come back, but it'll be a darn shame if he doesn't. Now, does this matter to the team's success? I mean, you talk to Cal, you see him the way he interviews. He doesn't care about any of this. He just wants to win. As a fan, as somebody who follows the team, you love that about your top player. You just want him to go grind and go win and worry about all that other stuff later. But I can talk about it all I want because I think he deserves the respect and I think he deserves it. And if he doesn't get it, it'd be a darn shame. That's just my opinion. All right, moving on to keys to success. And we are just going to focus on the month of September and really talk about what's happened, where they're at. When the month of September started, the Mariners were 73-64, 9 games over 500. And then what happened? They lost their first 4 games. Now they're only 5 games over 500. I think they were 5 games out of the division lead. Honestly, all looked hopeless. They were terrible on the road. They lost 5 of their first 6 games on the road in that series with going to Philadelphia and Atlanta. And I'm an optimistic guy. I'm very optimistic. And after they lost those 4 games in the first September, they lost that first game in Atlanta. I texted a few buddies and I said, they're going to get swept. They're going to get blown out here in this last couple games, and they're going to go home and it's going to continue. They're not going to win and they're going to fall out of it completely. And then they're going to go on a magical run, come close, just like, just that storyline we're used to, right? Them going on a magical run at the very end. And then all of a sudden, they fall short. And so I'd kind of given up hope. And of course, right after that, they go on a 10-game win streak. They lose once on just a rough outing by Matt Brash that has been rare this year. And then they've won 4 straight after that. 14 to 15 games, going like 5 games back to 3 games up. And instead of being out of the playoff position, you're the set number 2 seed with you control your own destiny to a number 2 seed. These last 15 games, what's been the driver to success? What has got them here? Are they winning a bunch of 1-run games? Honestly, they're blowing people out. These last 15 games, the Mariners' run differential is well over 40 in the month of September, which is by far their biggest month. And it's the biggest of any team in this last 15-game stretch, or in the month of September at least. And I want to talk first about the offense. In the month of September, the offense is the number 1 team, especially we're talking about American League here, number 1 team in home runs, RBIs, OPS, and slugging. That'll do it. That'll get the job done. They're averaging 7 runs a game during the stretch as well. And average, a good offense is 4.5 to 5 runs a game. And so to be on this stretch scoring 7 runs a game. And then the pitching staff. The pitching staff in the American League is number 2 in ERA, wins, strikeouts per 9 innings. They're top 3 in most pitching categories. And that is perfection. When your team is hitting best in the league and pitching best in the league, you're winning a lot of games. And you're tend to blow some people out too. We've seen some games that are like 12-5, 18-2, 11-3, but they've also been able to win in a variety of ways. Yeah, they're hitting home runs, but they've had some games too where they don't hit any home runs. They just hit a lot of singles and doubles, walk and steal bases. They have hit the 3rd most home runs in the American League this year and stolen the 2nd most bases. That is a great combination. Get on the bases, run, and then hit some home runs, maybe score some bases, score some runs in some other ways as well. That is just getting the job done. Are getting production from all over the lineup. We'll talk over a little bit later in shoutouts, but it's been awesome to see this team. That's what allows them to go into Houston and sweep them and go on they were terrible on the road in August, but this last road trip, they just, time to step up. That's what good teams do. Every team goes through good and bad stretch. Every team this year, there's so many teams have had horrible. Look at teams like the Tigers that were 20, 25 games above 500 earlier in the season, and they have given a lot of that back and had a terrible stretch here. Some teams have those bad stretches earlier on in the year. It's just the Mariners have had bad stretches, even in August, and the beginning of September was terrible, but they're playing great right now, and that's what matters. And that's why they're in this position. All right, we're going to go next in the shout-outs. One of the shout-outs I really want to give is to Dom Canzone. On September 16th, Cal Raleigh hit 2 home runs that day, and that gave him number 55 and 56 to tie Ken Griffey Jr. And it was such a big deal because everything Cal was doing, it was a big win by the Mariners. And it was like, Cal, wow, amazing, 2 home runs. And it was awesome. Quietly in the background that day, Dom Canzone goes 5 for 5 with 3 home runs. Now, a 3 home run game is not ordinary. It doesn't happen very often. But 5 for 5 and 3 home run games is extremely rare. I think I saw a stat like 40 people in baseball history have done that, something like that. Anyway, even if it's not completely accurate, it's still a pretty rare feat. And it was just awesome to see. And Dom has balled out and has been clutch this year. He's hitting over 300. He seems to get a hit anytime we need him to get one. He had an RBI single at least twice in the Astros series when just needed it. And he's got power too. He hasn't played a ton this year. He started off in AAA. An afterthought, not even thought like he was going to be helpful this year. And he's become a dude. And he's just a guy I want in the lineup every day. And he hasn't slowed down. And he's just killing the ball. And so a big shout out goes to Dom Canzone. I just love having him on the team. Another big shout out for me is just Josh Naylor. Josh Naylor, when he came to this team, we were really hoping we were going to get just a guy that is a grinder, and we heard so much. I think he has superseded and surpassed everything that I thought he was and what I thought he could be. The man is like 17 for 17 with stolen bases since being with the Mariners. This dude is the slowest guy in Major League Baseball. When he hits a ground ball double play, like he's going to double play, the dude is like the slowest guy up the line. You're like, oh gosh. And then you see him on the bases and he is like Ricky Henderson when he's out there. And I don't get it. And I don't understand why pitchers don't pay attention to him. I was watching the game yesterday, and he's on second base, and he's throwing his arms up, and he's clearly agitating the starting or the reliever on the mound. And they finally throw back to try to pick him off, and he gets back safe, and he's still dancing all around. And I just absolutely love what he's doing. He knows how to read the pitcher. He knows when they're not paying attention to him. He knows how to get a great lead. He takes some gambles, but it pays off. And just his gritty at bats he had. What was that at bat in the Astros series where he fouled off 10 pitches and then finally hits a 2 RBI single? Maybe that was the Royal series. Either way, just fantastic at bats. He doesn't have great power, but he pops home runs enough. Totally enough. And he plays fantastic defense at first base. Sometimes defense at first base is an afterthought until you see elite defense. And then you're like, oh gosh, I didn't even know we needed that. And then you have it and you're like, and as we look to the offseason even, he's going to be a free agent. And I think the Mariners got to do whatever they can to lock him up. He needs to be here for the next 4 years and just pay him $20 million a year and just go lock him up. And I don't think you're going to have to break the bank to do it. You have to pay him some money, but I don't think it's going to be, $30 million a year or anything like that. But I just think that you've got to bring him back. And one thing I want to say about Eugenio Suarez, Gino, when they traded for him, they were hoping they would get the player from the Arizona Diamondbacks that played all this year, 35 home runs and just had a fantastic first half of the year. And when he got here, it didn't go so well. And you think he's at 198 since being back. But you know what he does? He plays really good defense and he's got power. And he's been hot, much hotter of late, and he's hitting for power more. And you weren't getting that with Ben Williamson. As much as I like Ben Williamson, and I think he's got a great future, right now what you needed is that clutch guy. And and honestly, the depth in the lineup, the depth in who they're putting out there day in and day out, you don't need a Eugenio Suarez to be the superstar. So if he goes cold for a while, you got Cal Raleigh's killing it. I haven't even gotten into Julio yet. We'll talk about that in a second. But all these other guys that are doing amazingly well, so you can let a Eugenio Suarez just play. And if he's a little bit slumping right now, then all of a sudden he has a game where he goes 4 for 4, hits a home run and nearly carries them to victory. And then he hits another home run in the Astros series and he's just starting to catch fire right at the right time, right when you're going into playoffs. I could care less if he's terrible for the rest and then just turns it on here the last week and a half and then does great in the playoffs. Worth it at the end of the day. And even if they don't bring him back, it was totally worth it. And I just want to also shout out, I could go on for days with how they're playing right now, but Julio, we get on him for having slow starts. And his slow start this year wasn't awful. I think he's at in the 250s. He had a decent amount of home runs. I mean, the guy was an all-star. And a lot of us thought all-star. Why is this guy an all-star? And then the way he's played since the all-star break, you're like, oh yeah, he's an all-star. He's first team all-league and first team all-league MLB, Silver Slugger. And he's hit nearly 300 since the break. He's got 17 home runs. I don't know how many RBIs, but he's brought his average up to nearly 270. He's got 31 bombs, 94 RBIs, and his OPS is right at the 800 mark. It was barely over 700, not at the all-star break. It was under 700 by the all-star break. And what he has done, solidifying himself as just a star on this team and having a fantastic season. I mean, maybe he'll figure it out, but the dude's 24 still. It's his 4th season, and he is just an all-around stud. He's going to have close to having a 30 stolen base season, 30 home run season, and he probably will get 100 RBIs by the end of the year. And it's just, Julio has been a dog. His defense in center field I think he's the best center fielder in the American League and maybe in major leagues. And it's just great to see. And honestly, some of what Julio's hurt him in the past are just kind of, I hate to say, but bonehead mistakes, bad base running, some weird plays in the field. And I feel like he just cut down on a lot of that. I don't know if he just got more focused or what it is, or maybe just gets in the rhythm of the season and feels better and more comfortable. He has been lights out and just a fantastic third hole hitter. And I think he's just been a super key contributor. And last, I'll just bring up Jorge Polanco. Polanco last year was not good. And many of us thought, bye, see you later. You're not coming back. But then the Mariners re-signed him at a pretty discounted rate to play third base. And we first said third base. That seems strange. And then we saw it and we're like, yeah, that doesn't work. But then all of a sudden he had a little bit of an injury and he starts playing DH. And in April, he tore it up and hit 400 and hit 9 home runs. And it was like, whoa, who's this guy? And then May, he, of course, cooled off. But overall, he has put together a really good season. Over 25 plus home runs, 70 plus RBI, I think nearly 270, OPS over 800, and he's just been steady Eddie consistent. And in the month of September, he is ripping the cover off the ball, and he did really well in August and kind of picked himself up. And he has just been a strength in our order. And he's a guy you can hit 6th, 7th, 8th, 6th, and 7th, maybe 5th sometimes. And he's not. It just speaks to the depth when he's having a great year. It's just like I could talk about other guys too, but man, those are the guys that are just top of mind. Shout outs to great offensive starts. And then on the pitching side, I always want to give George Kirby a shout out. He had some rough starts, a couple rough starts, especially on the road. His last time he was on the road. But to go into Houston and give 6 shutout innings, and the last start he only gave up 2 runs and struck out 14 against the Angels. And to go into Houston, 6 shutout innings when your team needed it the most. I love that. I don't care that he's not had a great year. When he's coming into form and pitching as well as he is, he can be just as dominant as any pitcher out there. And I think he made a strong case to be on that playoff roster when that's good, pitching staff when that's graded. Because the Mariners pitching staff is doing really well right now. The starting staff. Think about the starting staff in the Astros series. Like I said, they only gave up 1 run over those 3 starts, and they've been dominant lately. And so how do you pick, if you pick 3 pitchers to pitch in a division series, who do you pick? I mean, Brian Wu will be number 1, of course, assuming he's healthy. You probably go Logan Gilbert number 2. Do you go Kirby? Do you Castillo? I mean, Castillo's got a lot of experience, pitched in playoff games, been with this team for 4 years now. And so he just got tenure, but it's going to be a tough decision. So we'll see. We will see what comes out of it. All right, next I want to talk about the magic number and kind of what's next on the schedule, what these next 6 games mean. Now, if you're new to my show, if you're new to baseball, newer this year, you're going to might ask yourself, Andy, what's a magic number? I keep hearing this magic number. And like I said before, we're not used to this magic number. We're not used to how many games until you clinch. We had it a few years ago in 2022. But the magic number basically says you have 6 games to go. Here's all the scenarios. You're up 3 games in the division over the Houston Astros, which you also hold the tiebreakers, which means if you've tied the Astros for the division at the end of the season, there'd be no playoff. The Mariners just advance as division winners because they beat the Astros head to head. And that's the first tiebreaker. And the other scenario is if you were to lose the division, you could still be a wild card, and the team threatening the wild card is the Cleveland Guardians right now, and the Red Sox and Houston as those teams just right on the edge. The magic number tells us how many wins, combination, and or losses of your competitors would it take to clinch the playoffs, the division, and the 2nd seed. So let's talk about it. So the Mariners' magic number to just make a playoff spot is 2. That means the Mariners need to either win 2 games or a combination of a win and a loss, or 2 losses by the Guardians. If the Guardians lose 2, the Mariners win 2, or 1 and win, the Mariners clinch a playoff spot. That's all that needs to happen. They could go 1-5 the rest of the way and have the Guardians lose 1 time and they clinch a playoff spot. To win the division, the magic number is 3. So that means they need to win 3 games. They need the Astros to lose 3 games or some combination of both. They could have the Astros win 1 and the Mariners win 2 over the next 6 games, and that clinches the division. You could have the Mariners win 1 and the Astros lose 2. So the Astros could go 4-2 and the Mariners will go 1-5 and they win the division. And so it's just 3. Now, the other thing on the line is the number 2 seed. Why is that important? Well, in the newer playoff bracket, the first round is called the wild card series. It's a best of 3 series. When the Mariners made the playoffs as the number 2 wild card seed, they had to go on the road to Toronto to play, and it was a best of 3 series. Now, they won that series, but if they're the number 2 seed, the top 2 seeds get to skip that round and play at first in the division series. Now, the winner of the first round series would come to play Seattle at T-Mobile Park to start, and they want that. That's the most important thing. So to earn that, their magic number is 4. So if the Mariners go 4-2 over the next 6, they automatically clinch the number 2 spot, and they get a first round bye. If they win 2, and the Tigers, who are currently in the NL Central lead, and that second, they're 2 games ahead of them, 3 with a tiebreaker. And they also have the tiebreaker over Cleveland Guardians, who are a game back at Tigers. So they're, Cleveland would have to be even more perfect than the Tigers. But the Tigers win 2 and the Mariners or lose twice and the Mariners win twice. They cinch that up. But if the Tigers go on an amazing run, the Mariners just need to win 4 times. That's it. To 4 of the 6 to clinch that. So that's what we're going to be watching here. So pay attention. The playoff race, magic number 2. The division, magic number 3. And the second seed, magic number is 4. And so that's why it's important, because you can get help from other people. You don't just have to win to have that, to advance or clinch a spot. And so what great timing is it to have the Rockies come to town, the second to last series of the year, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday, and play 3 games against the Rockies and then 3 against the Dodgers. What I hope for, this is something you should be watching for too, is sweep the Rockies and have the Tigers lose 2 out of 3 to the Cleveland Guardians, who they're about to play, and then the Astros lose 2 out of 3, and then you've won the division, and you've clinched the number 2 seed going into that Dodgers series, and you can rest your pitching, and you can give Brian Wu extra rest and let him heal up, so you can set yourself up for the best possible position in that division series and close out with the Dodgers and not have those games matter. That would be the most magical, best scenario. And look at us. We're just getting greedy, right? First, we just make the playoffs. And then all of a sudden it's like, win the division, just win the division, win the division. We can get the number 2 seed, get the number 2 seed. And so with that, I have a proclamation. I have something I want to stand on a pillar and say. And lastly, I didn't hit you with this in the agenda, but I'm going to finish with an Andy's rant. And this is something that just came to me today thinking about this. As the Mariners are in a position to win the division, clinch the number 2 seed, control their own destiny. They're playing the worst team in Major League Baseball for the next 3 games. I want them to save the celebration, the champagne shower, until they clinch the division. It seems like teams today, anytime they clinch a playoff spot, anything, they win any kind of series, even the wild card series, division series, the ALCS, NLCS, there is champagne shower, there's the go crazy folks like they won the World Series, and I don't know, I don't love that. I'd almost want to save it for the World Series. It doesn't bother me too much, but this is something that would bother me. If the Mariners clinch a playoff spot tomorrow, I do not want to see a champagne shower over that. Now, if you're vying for a playoff spot at the end of the season, you win it on the last day and you get in, sure, that would be great. But they're in the lead now. They should expect to win the division. You can't settle for anything less. And so by clinching a playoff spot, give each other some high fives, be happy, but do not give yourself a champagne shower in the locker room. Save it for when you did win the division and lock that up. Give yourself the pat on the back then to say, hey, we fought hard. We grinded to the end. And especially when it's been 20, 25 years since this has happened. And so 24 years. And so let loose, enjoy it, but do not do it until you win the division. Go finish the job. You said it yourself. Getting on the airplane or leaving like, hey, we're happy. We came here, did what we wanted to do, but the job's not done. You're right. It's not done. Go finish the job and then celebrate. That's Andy's rant. Thank you, everybody, for listening today and following along. It's been fun to get back with you. I really want, as they go on this ride, to be back on here, hopefully once a week, just kind of jumping on, talking about Mariner baseball and talking about how they're playing, what they're doing, and where they're at. Hopefully next time I talk, the season's over. They're in the playoffs. They've clinched the number 1 seed. They have some time off to rest and get their pitching staff lined up. And I just can't believe we're here. I can't believe we're in this position. It's so fun. Been so excited to get on here and talk about this today. Just thinking about it, especially what happened this weekend. It's just a fantastic place to be. Thank you, everyone, for listening, following along. I love everybody I talk to that listens to the show and tells me what they think and gives me ideas and just say they enjoy it. It just keeps me going. I love doing this. And my kid at a baseball game today, and I get home from that and just jump right on here and do this. And I love it. That's life. We're here. We're doing it. We're running. We're all busy running and gunning, and I appreciate every single one of you listening along, just following along the journey. So I'm going to keep doing this. Follow me along. You can find the show pretty much wherever you find your podcasts, including Spotify, Instagram, YouTube, Amazon, all the places where you're going to find your podcast content. That's all I got for today, folks. Follow along, share with your family, share with your friends, download the show, like it, leave me a comment or two, say hi if you see me, tell me your thoughts. Tell me any ideas you have, and let's go get that job done and get that number 2 seed. We'll talk to y'all later. Go Mariners.